Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Gatecreeper, Dark Superstition, out May 17th on Nuclear Blast. The album has 10 tracks, 37 minutes in length, and this is the band's third full-length studio album. They are an American death metal band. A band that put together a very engaging and entertaining album, and it all starts with a design that surprised me. Considering that the record has 10 songs and is 37 minutes in length, I was expecting the experience to be a little bit more compact, even a little bit more linear. Not the case. This is a very dynamic record, very fluid, a lot of ebbs and flows. An album that really takes the best elements out of its own sound and creativity and then organizes it in a way that allows the listener to really experience almost a roller coaster ride from the first to the last song. I wouldn't go as far as to say that it is a roller coaster ride because the peaks and valleys are not that far apart from one another. But considering the genre, this album moves, and it moves extremely well. Great design, really not only enhancing the quality of the individual songs, but giving the overall album such incredible strength that gives it playability and longevity. I never get tired of listening to records like this, and this album, it just hits the mark as far as not just the design, but also the sound. A sound that, while having that death metal as the main core element, as the main driving force, it's an album that pulls influences from other genres that are not that far departed from death metal, melodic death metal, doom metal, even some groove. This record really has a lot of all of these genres coming together and then putting their own stamp as far as what death metal is all about, and including those genres to create a very unique soundscape, a very unique sonic fingerprint as far as not just the individual songs but the overall collective. A sound that always feels very gritty. This is an album that's not overly produced. It feels very raw, it feels very live, it has a live essence to it, and when it comes to the live essence, that grittiness that permeates through the guitars, predominantly through the guitars, has a clear impact. Sometimes you also feel that grittiness coming through the bass sound. The bass sound is not polished either. It feels even grittier when it comes a little bit stronger through the mix. But it adds not just roughness to the sound, it also adds groove to the sound. A sound that already has a lot of groovy elements as far as the guitars are concerned, and the guitar sound on this album is able to offer you that thick, heavy grit experience, but also a little bit more cleaner one when it comes to the more melodic riffs and when it comes to the solos. Two elements of this record, sound-wise, that separate themselves, that depart themselves from that overall heaviness and thickness and grit that the album predominantly carries from beginning to end. Having this separation of elements is important because it allows the guitars to feel alive, it allows the guitars to feel a little bit more rich, and it gives a lot more texture to the record. You don't want necessarily the sound coming out of the solos or the sound coming out of some of those melodic leads to be exactly the same as the overall wall of sound that the record has. You want those elements to cut through, creating a little bit more depth and also creating a little bit more width as far as the overall sound is concerned. And then you have the drums. The drums really compensate and fill in the gaps perfectly. I felt like the drums on this record were heavy, not as heavy as I was expecting them to be in the mix, because I felt like maybe at times it would be overpowering, but this is an album that leaves all the room for the guitars to shine, for the guitars to drive, compensating in some places with that gritty bass sound coming through, and then the drums are there just to make everything feel slightly fuller. Now, as far as vocals goes, I love the approach on this record. It's an album that has intensity and aggression, melody and grooviness, and the vocals kind of go hand in hand with all of those experiences. It has almost a one-size-fits-all approach, but not quite, changing ever so slightly from track to track within songs depending on where the track is taking you, in terms of how much more intensity you have to infuse, in terms of how much more heaviness you have to infuse, but a really tight vocal performance that gives great personality to the incredible sound that this record puts forward. An amazing album all around. I feel like it's a very versatile record considering how heavy it is and considering the overall DNA of the band. You don't expect a death metal band that's putting together an album that has 10 songs in 37 minutes to be this versatile and to have these sort of elements coming into the surface, you perhaps would expect the band to push their sound more towards a grindcore experience and not taking it into the other arena of bringing some doom and groove elements and creating some more of a dark blanket that really hovers over this entire record. Now, as far as favorite songs are concerned, let me start off with Oblivion. Gritty, dark guitar sound, also heavy with a lot of volume, and then you have those groovy riffs that break through that heaviness but still carry some grit with them. The groovier riffs on this track are not completely separated from the rest of the guitar sound. There is some residual grit in them, and I think that allows it allows the song to have movement but still feel connected. And you see perhaps a little bit more of that grooviness coming through in the chorus, and that really separates then the chorus from the verses, creating a nice ebb and flow as the track moves along. When I was listening to this song, it really reminded me of Heartwork by Carcass, just grittier, just dirtier, just more unpolished, but it has a lot of the same qualities. It has a lot of the same elements in terms of how melodic it is, in terms of how heavy it is, and how those two elements coexist with one another. Super intense vocally, helping shape the intensity of the overall song, and then, like I said, great guitar work all around. Next we have Superstition Vision, melodic song, amazing riff, still gritty as far as the overall body of the sound is concerned, but the melody on this track really helps cut through because it is cleaner. It doesn't carry that residual grit in it. This song sees a complete separation of those two worlds, but still allowing those two worlds to coexist extremely well throughout the entire track. It also helps having this divide between what the verses give and what the chorus offers. That more clean or clear guitar melody really helps divide those two different parts of the song. And then when it comes to the chorus, is very hooky. From a musical standpoint, this chorus really stands out, and it allows the song to have a little bit of its own moment. Now, the verses are chunkier, thicker, heavier, so having that groovier chorus allows the track to morph into that and then morph out of it in a very seamless kind of way. Vocally powerful, intense. You see them pushing a little bit more of the higher end of the range vocally in the chorus. That also adds to the hookiness and how catchy the overall chorus is. Great guitar solo on this track, also with a lot of clarity in it, not carrying any of that residual grit in it, and that allows the track to feel cleaner and brighter at times, but still have this doomish underlining sound that stays very connected to the experience of the song through the verses and even through the chorus. Last but definitely not least, Tears Fall from the Sky. This is the closing song on the record, and I think it's one of the most intricate songs that the album offers, and I can understand putting this song at the end because it would be a very difficult song to rebound from. It's not the kind of track that you can put anywhere else in the album and offer a sense of sequence and a sense of continuity to whatever it is that comes after. This song offers a little bit of a finale to it because it just has interesting pieces in it that you don't really see coming together anywhere else on the album, and like I said, it would create too much of a ripple. So I enjoyed the qualities of this song. I enjoyed how doomy it was, how much heaviness it had, how emotional it was, both musically and vocally. A song that carries a lot of emotion in it. Even lyrically, it carries a lot of emotion in it. And it's a great way to close off the record because of all the uniquenesses that it offers. You're able to see it almost as the curtains coming down and an exclamation mark on the entire album. This is it, Gatecreeper with Dark Superstition, once again out May 17th on Nuclear Blast. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Hit me up in the comment section, and I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.